Thank you, Clark, for the interesting session on GenAI. I hope everybody is wide awake now. We have been past the rice hour by some time. What I'm going to talk about now is, of course, unlocking the true potential of data when so much is being talked about GenAI and everything. What we understand is, as a company which has been in play for 11 years doing data and analytics only, what is interesting is that despite so many millions invested, there are still gaps. I'm going to talk about those gaps. But before I do that, let me tell you a few things. My name is Dobi, Vaibhav Dobrial. I'm the co-founder and chief product officer at Lumic. At Lumic, we engage with customers in three critical areas all around data. The first one is data modernization. The second is generating customer insights. All we do is for our customers. And the third is business excellence. What's unique about them? There are so many companies. Like I said, the first one is 11 years doing data and analytics only, no deviations. 40 plus large enterprise customers. We understand B2B space. We understand what you're trying to do with your customers. We have invested heavily into product accelerators, not because we were in a room thinking we should make it, but because we were privileged to work with customers who were trying to solve those problems. So we have innovated a lot with our partners like AWS and our real customers. And we have a keen eye on emerging tech. So be it Gen AI, customer DNA, and we have presence in multiple cities in India and of course Singapore and US. Just a few seconds on this slide. Now almost 8 years and multiple accreditations and multiple partnerships on the AWS ecosystem. So we have been playing with cloud ever since. It used to take one day just to set up networking, just to give you some ideas. Now there is so much talk about data all around, right? But if you have to simplify, what is data? And why data maturity is important, right? We all want to move to the right side of the curve where we want to be data driven. What is data driven? If I don't have data, I will not take a decision. Very simple, right? Everybody has moved past that stage of data aware. That's what we have been doing for 20, 25 years. But if we know all this, what is the gap? I think the first gap which comes up over and over again is availability of the data itself, right? The first statement that we hear is we don't have the right data. I don't believe that. There are millions of dollars already invested. There are customers who are still in the early stages of maturity, but there are a lot of customers who are not able to monetize or unlock the true potential of their data. So before I go into why they are not, the first part is when we say potential of data, what it translates to. We heard about Gen AI, AIML, exception-driven reporting, BI, data as a service. Those are the things that keep coming back. And the first statement, like I said, is availability of the data, organizing of this data, data lake, industry data models, implementing a modern analytical warehouse, cloud. But my question to this audience is it enough? Our take is it's important, but it's not enough. After spending millions of dollars, many of our customers who went to cloud for the first time in last 11 years to people who are already well advanced in their data journey have realized that availability is just the tip of the iceberg. The reliability of the data is what matters once you make the data available. So I'll not speak about how to get the data available, but reliability of the data. Now that's a tricky word, right? If I were to ask this audience, how many of you think data quality is important? I don't even need to ask for a raise of hands. Everybody would say yes. Now the key question is, when you want to make those high impact decisions on data and when data breaks, what happens? So what is a data break? A data break is your data not being at the right state or at a reliable state when you are trying to take a decision. Let me give you a quick example. As a decision maker, you are looking at a dashboard. As a decision maker, you might be looking at an exception report which has come out. Very simple, right? How often has it happened that somebody has said that, oh, we will do these three things based on that data, but somebody raises a hand. This does not look right. How do we map that this does not look right? So we know Bad data is bad decisions. But the point is, how do we solve this problem? That is how the whole observability paradigm came into play. What I'm going to show you is Pryzm, a data reliability platform that we have built. And it ensures that you can take those data-driven decisions with confidence. Now, why do you think we have the right to build such a system? As our customers moved through their maturity life cycles, these were the questions they were asking. A
In a
short
world
video.
driven by data, trust is everything. Pryzm ensures your data remains reliable, accurate, and trustworthy at every step of the way, so that you are ahead of every data break, helping you predict, prepare, and prevent. Envision a world where time, decisions, and data move in perfect harmony. Let's explore the world where challenges turn into opportunities with Empower Pryzm. So what does it do? Automated metadata collection from cutting-edge data stacks, ensuring a comprehensive understanding. It analyzes historical data patterns, setting the stage for effective anomaly detection. Continuously monitor data with AI precision, helps identifying deviations in real time. With auto-incident lineage and impact analysis, it provides precise incident triage for quicker resolution. Why empower Pryzm? Eliminate data downtime, resolve incidents faster, maximize your data value, and ensure a consistent supply of reliable data. Pryzm transforms data challenges into trust benchmarks, ensuring your business operates seamlessly with minimal data downtime. It's the ally you can rely on to empower your data and deliver trust.
Now, there's a lot of gyan in that video, right? That's what happens with promotional videos. But if you look at it, there are multiple personas who are involved in your data journey, right? Who are these people? The first are, of course, the data ops guys who are supposed to keep the platform up and running. Somebody can respond to a ticket, but what happens when you are supposed to get 100,000 records every day and for some reason you have got only 2,000 today? There is no error in the system, there will be no ticket. How do you find such an anomaly? Every day it takes 25 minutes to process. Today it has run for 5 minutes. It is going to break something down. That's what data ops guys are supposed to act on. Engineering teams. Now, once your incidents have moved higher up, they need to fix, they need to know where to prioritize, what to prioritize, because your assets are going to break. I think the third group is the most struggling one. Have you ever worked with business users who are trying to set up a data quality rule? They have no idea what is your table schema looking like. They have no idea what is the data type. They don't know the difference between one versus other. Still, they're supposed to be data stewards into our world. How do we solve those problems? And for data consumers, business users, how do we tell them that, hey, at this point in time, this particular report is not in right shape because at 5 a.m. in the morning, there was a data feed which had an issue, and because of which all the downtime, all the downstream, all the downstream jobs, pipelines, assets are impacted. These are the personas that we are solving for. It is all built on AWS. It talks to all the native technologies that you know on AWS and managed services, be it Glue, be it Redshift, wherever your data is on S3, wherever it is. It has seamless integration with modern lakehouse architectures or any other architecture, and it's SaaS, and still it runs into your AWS account. So you're not taking any data outside of this. I wanted to run a live demo, but unfortunately don't have that privilege today. So I'll try to do best. So essentially, this is the front end of Pryzm. Like any other application, it needs to talk. It's a single pane of glass for all data team and personas. What are the total assets that you have for the platform owners, for the asset owners? It gives you an overview of what exactly do you have on your platform. A very simple inventory view. The second is incident overview. The third is the DQ overview. In terms of assets, you have databases, tables, Kafka topics, pipelines, dashboards, anything and everything that you're running on that platform. Getting this inventory itself becomes a challenge. Now, once you start having a detailed view of your assets and everything that I talk about, be it a table, be it a database, be it everything, has a tier associated with it. What is a tier? Tier is a handle that we have created to give an idea of maturity. How your platform is growing in terms of assets that are coming through over the month. And what you see on the bottom is auto discovery of assets. We can't stop developers to create new tables, but we can automatically discover and highlight them. That's the asset overview. The second is platforms receive data. This is a very operational view. What do I need to start at the end of the month when there are lots of incidents, right? What is happening? What is the trend? DQ test could have failed, pipeline failures would have failed, right? What's happening today? What's happening? What's the trend? And if you see at the bottom, a full detailed view. It's not an ITSM tool. An ITSM tool will help you solve tickets. It's create those anomalies, identifies it, and helps you create it. Now, if you see at the bottom is something very interesting. What it's showing you that what is the resolution time for this. So it's running analytics on top of your ticket resolutions and everything, mean resolution time, MTTR, and mean time to debug, right? The third view is, like I mentioned, for the data quality. Data quality is seen as a very, very technical thing. It's not, it's actually a combination, right? So you have the ability to look at DQ score for everything onto the platform across different dimensions. And at the same time, you can have a cut by business functions. For example, contactability is critical for running any campaign. So you can create those cuts. What is the timeline? How is your data quality of the platform moving over time? That's critical because you want to know where you are heading for. And at the bottom, all the data sets into the ecosystem, be it Redshift, be it Athena, be it Snowflake that you're running, all of it comes together. So that's on the DQ overview side. And if we go deep down inside each one of the functionalities, what we will see is there are concepts, domains, classification, glossary, many of the things which come from a broken world of Collibra. So you have things which are seamlessly integrated. So you don't have to put effort on discovery. You can see that it knows everything about your data platform, automatically discovering it. You can, of course, do a cut based on domain, which is very common in data modeling world. So you can create your domains, you can create tier based on the impact, schema, and you have like slice and dice on the whole data. So all the metadata from everywhere in the universe is getting pulled, and I'll show you how also in few seconds. And if you notice, it's saying that these are unmonitored assets. So what is an unmonitored asset? An unmonitored asset is something which somebody created as an example of a table or a file into the ecosystem, and there is nothing on it, top of it. Domains is another interesting concept, brings flavor of business, data, it's a way of organizing your data assets. So your typical domains could be customer service, if you're a bank, lending, retail assets, liability, and so on, right? You could add domains, you could create domains, and you have a seamless way of organizing and analyzing your metadata using these domains. These domains become important information to enrich your metadata. So similarly, you have sales, and then you have a concept of data products, right? We don't want to create data just for the sake of it. So you could, for example, within sales also create a data product that this is for a partner for this particular use case, or you could say that it's a recommendation engine which you have extended for your partner. So you are basically enriching all the metadata that it gathered and making it even smarter. And like I mentioned, you could attach any asset to it. It need not be a table in a database. It could be anything. Now, once you have this data organized, you could just attach assets to it. And then this becomes available into any of the view into the ecosystem. You could look at it from a data quality perspective. So these are, for example, all the domains that are already created. So imagine you are enriching your existing data models with this information. Similarly, classifications are possible. Now, where does all this help? One is these tools have been around for a long time, and I'll show you in a way that how we are using, Gen AI also to generate some of these problems and why it works for us. So we go deep into domains, right? So we know what you're trying to do, and I was talking about how it's pulling that metadata. So you can see that there are service connectors. So database, messaging, dashboards, pipelines, your SageMaker machine learning models, anything that it has into your ecosystem, it can pull it out and organize it. So for example, here it's showing you data which is from a multiple service, and you could just pull this data. So our approach is, if you already have a catalog or if you already have an asset management or a Colibra kind of a service, we can just pull out that data. So you need not start from scratch, yet all your data is available on a single pane of glass. Now you don't want to create all this for the fun of it, right? This is the lowest view that you have of an asset. It becomes handy when you are investigating, and I'll show you when I talk about incidents. But here it's showing you dictionary, for example. You could add any attributes, tags are possible. For example, PII, non-PII, it can discover all those things as well. Imagine you are a data scientist, you want to do your exploration, where is my income there? It has capabilities to search. All of this can be generated using generative AI. So one is you do all this manually. Second is because I already know the model, I know the context, I already have access to the data onto the platform, I can simply invoke an LLM to generate those descriptions. So your painful work, which nobody wants to do in an organization of maintaining data dictionaries can be expedited as well. So for example, here it's knows that it's bureau data, where it is coming from. Looking at the data itself, it's able to generate those recommendations. Now it has a full version control of whatever changes are happening into the catalog. So you can go back, you can have a look at the sample data as somebody who's exploring. What are the frequent queries that are running on it? This becomes handy when you are doing analysis of what actually this asset gets used for. So these are very, very basic information, but 9 out of 10 of these are very difficult to find out. Profiling, a very detailed profiling view. Where it all gets used for is when you are trying to build more understanding of your data. The LLMs that run on top of the platform, I'll show you, for example, in data quality, use all this data. So for Gen AI, one of the basic things is having this right context. From a structured data perspective, we are generating every possible context for structured data so that you can build the use cases in production which all LLMs want to build. This is another interesting view, lineage, and this is what I use for triage. For example, I can give an alert to somebody at 11 that your job, even though it has not failed now, is not going to run correctly because in the morning there was an anomaly. Down to the report, machine learning model, any asset. So what has already happened and what is going to happen? Both are equally addressed using this lineage. Again, you're not expected to look at it, but this becomes critical when somebody is investigating. So there is a row and column level lineage view that it's able to pull out. And from a custom properties perspective, who's the business user who needs to be communicated? Who's the tech owner who needs to know? This is critical information which makes it easier for you to create tickets. So we have that capability that whenever there is an anomaly that we discussed, it could be a time anomaly, it could be a number of records processed, we are able to pass on that information. So basically a very detailed view of asset, that's what gets created. And let me show you one example where it gets used. For example, data quality, right? So there are rules, you have an overall index of the data quality, and what are the different rules that are available. Now if you see, it's showing you different subject areas where rules are set up, right? So it started using that information already, because as a business user, I'm not interested in anything beyond contactability when I'm thinking of a campaign to reach out my customer. And what's interesting here is this button. What it's doing now is using all the context that it has generated, and based on that, it can straight away gives a recommendation of what are the different business rules for data quality that can be set. It could be a technical data quality, it could be a business data quality. So that's rules and run, and then it's telling you a concept of configured versus unconfigured rules. So somebody can write a business rule and then submit it. So that's where we are going into a create rule now. This is a simple view of creating a rule. I think everybody knows it: uniqueness, completeness, validity, consistency, accuracy. But I think what's important is the flow of the rule. Do you need to stop the flow, or do you want just to have a warning? Again, it boils down and goes back at an overall level. You can say with confidence that your platform today is at this percentage, my contactability is at 99%. Where are most of the data quality issues coming from? So you could block the data if it's critical, or you could just issue a warning and move forward. Now, this is the first step what a business user would typically. So this is a classic rule for a very simple rule for bureau score. And if you go inside, right, then it opens up those usual technical triggers. So the first part can be done by a business user, and then it opens up that, okay, what do you want to do? Is it a table rule, for example, a referential integrity, or it's a column rule that you want to have? And most of the things that we do technically or at a table or a column level can be mentioned here. So you have columns, you have tables, you can do relationships between tables. So virtually anything which can be translated to a SQL can be organized and orchestrated. Are you supposed to do it manually? No. Like I shared earlier, the whole GenAI thing can help you get started with it. You can collect it from your business users. And then this is the part where it's allowing you to write the actual technical query also. Because at the end of it, there are two ways. Either you can write a rule which could be based on the regular expression, or you would need to write something complicated which is very custom. Now the question is, how does it execute it internally? It's not bringing its own compute. So you are already on the platform. Let's say you are on Redshift, so it's going to use Redshift. Now, how do we make this journey easier, right? So one is, of course, the inventory of the rules. You can see which are the rules which are already configured, details, description, the whole flow. And at the same time, if you see, it has unconfigured rules also. Now, all these rules, what happens with them? At the end of it, this is the data ops play where it starts. So it shows you what has happened now, what are the different incidents that have happened, which has passed to, let's say, a pager duty on an ITSM tool. This is what you need to solve today, all given by different types of incidents that has created. So for example, a view of the pipelines, pipeline failure, anomalies, and you have a detailed view on all the incidents that are happening as of now or have already happened. Now let's say this is an anomaly that it has detected that it's taking more time. It's not crossed the threshold on the orchestrator. And if you go inside, right, it will tell you that it's a pipeline which has failed. And this is a detailed view RCA for the data ops team. Now it is using every bit of information that it gathered over past. What happens? Description, it's a pipeline anomaly. Now what are the upstream issues? Because it knows the lineage, right? What it's telling you is maybe it is because of these things, right? Now this is the whole view of the lineage so that you know what are the downstream assets all available with the tier of it, because something might be critical, something might not be critical. And a full count and breakup of assets which are impacted, so that your team, this is very critical from a business user perspective, that you know how much time does it take to fix it. So typically it takes 20 minutes to debug and 2.4 hours to restore. This is what everybody wants to know when things go south, right? And this is contextual log. So if in this case, it's telling you that it ran for 15 minutes instead of 80. So it's crawling through all the monitoring data, all the data that it has collected and giving it into a single pane of glass. If it's a data quality rule, it will tell you what rule has failed, what is the record, and so on. And if you have a standard operating procedure, let's say you want to restart the pipeline because database password is changed, you can just attach the SOP and work on there. This is further details where you want to see in terms of incident breakdown. How does this incident work, right? What are the different things that are happening in terms of timeline? When does it happen? Is it on a particular day and so on, day of the month? So all information. And at the same time, what are the different incidents in terms of timeline when they happen? So can I use the same recipe that I used last time? What are the different? So what it's doing is, for the data ops guy, it's making it easier for them to fix the issues. These are all the recipes. So you could attach your wikis of the world, or you could have documents. So basically RCA is triage is what it's making easier for everyone. There are multiple types of jobs that you can see. And if you see that ticket on the top, right, that's where it integrates with your ITSM tool and can create a ticket. Now this is a different view. So we talked about different. So now you have other types also, test failure. So DQ test failure, right? It's not that you have to go to 20 places to find information. And here again, when you are looking at it, it will give you contextual information. And you could set up your DQ rules to run on a periodic time, or you want to run it. So for example, here it's showing you that it's a technical rule that has failed and what is the failure. So for a data ops team, it's making their life simple by allowing them quick RCAs and information available in a single pane of glass. Again, you can go back to the impacted asset if you want to know more about it, what are the records, what actually happens, and understanding of the underlying view. So what asset we created earlier, now when you are investigating a particular incident, becomes really easy to understand what you are working on. And then you can go down to any level of detail. So that's the play around. That's the play around, incidents and resolutions for the data ops guys. Now, of course, like I mentioned, there are multiple personas involved. And for each of those personas, it's enabling workflows. For asset owners, a full view of the ecosystem. For data owners, the data quality view. And for the data ops team, how to debug. Now, who's already using it? Like I mentioned, people who started maturing their data journeys, people who built platforms, who have already invested enough dollars. Unfortunately, nobody wants to think of governance as a day zero priority. It always hits as a surprise. Many of our customers today, that's a big mindset change I am seeing. Even large customers today, this has become a day zero conversation. A new AMC that has just launched started on day zero with this tool. There are banks at the other extreme of maturity, the world's largest asset management company. They are already using these tools. Imagine what it takes to bring all this data together. And as you make more and more investments, the reliability is what it ensures. So, of course, a direct impact on decision making. The second is the business productivity itself. What is the worst meeting when I'm sitting down to review something and realize that the data is bad? That's the worst meeting because you can't take any decision. Data downtime hits you in many ways. The worst part is you don't even know when it hits you. And I'm not talking about just the errors, the anomalies that creep into the ecosystem. And the last part is your data teams are under perpetual pressure all the time. The data ops is a painful thing to do. These guys are scrambling for information, L0, L1, L2, L3. There is a whole hierarchy of people who get involved, and they're scrambling to multiple places just to find out the information, and they are pressed for time. So for the data ops team, it's make it easier. I know it was a long presentation, but yes, more than happy. We have a booth here. I'll be more than happy to give you a demonstration and talk about how Pryzm can make your life easier. That's all I had. Thank you so much.